Coming up on today's Next Fan Up podcast. We're live, bro. Yeah, seriously, George Kittle, what's going on here? We're trying to start a show.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Sorry, hold on. 1 minute. Hey, can you hear me?
Now I hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tom Brady's not ready. George Kittle's jumping in. What's going on? It's not a Week 6 recap. Here we go.
That's how we start! Yeah, baby!
32 super fans.
Where do the reports come from? Did you get an initial?
One PodVader.
That's football.
Every angle of the NFL covered.
All that kind of stuff, I get it.
This
No question about it.
is Next Fan Up.
We will unleash hell here in December.
Hello and welcome to Not an NFL Week 6 recap. Hey everybody, PodVader here with Eagles James. Hello James, how you doing today?
God, man, I kind of want the season to be over with, especially for my club. But for the rest of the league, I'm kind of excited. The season's pretty much turned upside down, and they're only 6 weeks in.
You know, I realized listening back to some of these other podcasts that I haven't been giving a good enough tease at the beginning to let people know what they're going to be hearing this week. And this week we've got sound from the 49ers, the Washington football team, the Atlanta Falcons, the Tennessee Titans. I've got a lot on Derrick Henry. I think I might fall in love with Derrick Henry listening to his post-game press conference.
Did you say the Falcons?
I did say we got some sound from the Atlanta Falcons.
Is it good or bad?
Well, you'll have to wait and find out, just like everybody else. We got some sound from the Colts, some sound from Miami. Another athlete that I got a lot of respect for this week with Tua Tagovailoa. So we're going to hear from him, and we're going to wrap things up with Matthew Stafford of the Detroit Lions. Ryan Fitzpatrick in the Miami sound. I saved the best sound for last this week. That was a long way of getting to say that, but. Listen, we're going to kick things off with some good stuff. You heard George Kittle in the tease. He interrupts the tease. He interrupts Jimmie Garapollo's press conference. And then a reporter jumps in and, well.
Hey, George, I missed your first question or two, so sorry if this is a repeat. But
wow.
Kyle,
be on time, dog.
Yeah, I know.
Next.
That's all right.
So, yeah, it's George Kittle giving the reporter the business for being late to his press conference. It's not hard.
I mean, it's not like they have to show up to the games or anything. These are all Zoom interviews. So, I mean, sit in front of your computer, your mobile device, log in and be ready. Like, how are you late to this?
What I'm starting to understand is the PR teams have gotten the Zoom calls down to the point where they're running multiple Zoom calls at once. So one of the reasons why you hear George Kittle interrupt Jimmie Garapollo is because they're in a room and they're not that far away from each other. One of the other things I noticed this week in particular is some of the players and coaches are wearing their masks during their Zoom call, which means there must be a bunch of people around them, because why are you wearing your mask during a Zoom call? Nobody's asking you questions in the room, but there must be other people around, which is why they're wearing their masks. So it's this new era, this new COVID era is definitely strange, but multiple Zoom calls at once. You would think the PR team would try and make it easier for the reporters to get all this stuff.
No.
Don't they understand that the media is laying people off left and right? They don't have time to go to multiple Zoom calls. They got to stutter them.
They want to get all this done as quickly as possible and everyone out of the building. So, we got to cram 5 people in a room on laptops to do their Zoom calls at the same time, so be it.
So the 49ers had a very big win this week. By the way, I had the worst week of professional football prognostication in my life.
We're saving that for Thursday. Trust me and you both, buddy.
Oh boy, was it bad. It wasn't just my picks. It was fantasy. It was everything. But the 49ers come out on top, and there was a big play made by Jason Verrett. And Jimmy Ward was asked about his thoughts on Jason Verrett.
What was your perspective on Jason Verrett's interception, and how big of a play was it in that game to sort of swing momentum?
Oh, I was the happiest person in the world. I had inside leverage. So I was already out leveraged because he did a 7. So I owe that guy a steak dinner.
I think you owe him your game check. Just admitted you didn't do your job properly, and Jason Verrett got you off the hook. It's more than a steak dinner. That's your game check.
That is so apropos. You know, your teammate covering up for you makes a big play, and you gotta call him and give him all the praise. So, you know, good job, Ward.
Yes, good job on him to admit to his mistake. It's easy to laugh at when you win the game. I wonder how much of that steak dinner comes if you lose the game. Do you get a steak dinner, or do you just get like a can of Chef Boyardee?
Nah, you still get a steak dinner, but you got to eat crow for losing the game because it's your fault now.
Yeah, no one wants to eat crow. Although I guess there's a big dish of crow coming for me on Thursday. Someone else who could be eating crow, but sort of is owning it, so he doesn't have to eat the crow, is Ron Rivera. He had a nickname back in Carolina. You remember what that nickname was?
Riverboat Ron.
That's right. Riverboat Ron apparently has returned, and this time he's in Washington.
Coach Scott Abraham, ABC 7. Obviously, you're trying to win a football game. You go for 2 at the end of the game. Was there a bigger picture in mind when you went for 2 there? What kind of message were you trying to send to your team there, big picture wise?
I told him in the locker room. I said, guys, I play to win, and I told you guys that's part of my philosophy. The only way to learn to win is play to win, and that's what I want those guys to understand. That's the mentality. I mean, some of those 4th downs, I win for it. Because I believe that's, again, the mentality has to be we have to do certain things to win football games. And, if taking a little bit of a gamble is part of it, then that's what I'm doing.
Hey, Ron, did you consider at all not going for it on that play or on that touchdown on the 2 points, or was it solid, I'm going to go for it?
I'm going for it. I'm going for it. Because, again, guys, as I said, the intent is to learn how to win football games.
I mean, honestly, if my coach comes out and says that to me, I don't care if I'm losing because I'm learning how to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't disagree with his philosophy. You get late in the game and you're trying to tie it up. And at that point, I'm like, you're just playing to lose. Or worst case, what my team did to Cincinnati, a couple of weeks ago. So, look, begrudge him for going for 2? Absolutely not. I think it was the right decision. I just don't like the play call and the execution. So they cleaned that up, and they actually come out on top of this game. But, look at how this game turned as well. The Giants owned this game until that point.
Yeah, which is not good, quite honestly. You can't let the Giants won a game. I can't believe the Washington football team allowed that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, also look at their quarterback situation. It's a complete mess. And, for all of his trust in Kyle Allen being the quarterback, let's see, he's been knocked out of one game in which basically they weren't going to win anyway. And he struggles against the Giants, who still have one of the worst defenses in the league. So
yeah,
what was the point of benching Dwayne Haskins? Because now you got a fan base that's like, you bench Haskins for this? Haskins could have did exactly what happened over the last 2 weeks against the same 2 opponents. So it's not like the offense is playing any better.
Well, old one leg is still there. I mean, we can give old one leg the ball. He didn't have a lot of success in his game, but that's because he didn't take any snaps as the starter. Have him practice as the starter and see how quickly Alex Smith wins some games.
Yeah, and that's the key word there. He needs to practice as a starter, and until Rivera makes that decision, my thing is when Haskins is healthy and he can be the backup, does he actually put him in uniform? Because right now, Haskins is battling a number of ailments, none of which is COVID at the time. I mean, there was a stomach virus, there was a cold and some other ailments or whatever. But when he's completely healthy, is he back on the active roster and Smith is now out of uniform because they only suit 2. They're not going to suit 3. So which one of them is not in uniform but still at the stadium on Sundays?
I'm making an audible here on you, James. I'm going to go to Tennessee because Tennessee was in a similar position at the end of their game against the Texans where they could have gone for 2 or they could have kicked 1 and forced overtime. They chose the latter. they won the toss in overtime, and Derrick Henry, who was just a man beast the entire game, just took over the extra period and just dominated the Texans. Oh, I think you're waiting for me to throw to actual Derrick Henry sound, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think one of the things I was trying to make the comparison there with the end of the Tennessee Houston game being similar to the Washington New York game. And I mean, we've seen Mike Vrabel go for 2 in the past, and it's right. He came out on the losing end in that particular instance as well. I think the difference there is
Tennessee was at home and Washington was on the road. So, it's often said that when you're trying to score late in the game, you kind of want to take the lead, not tie it up, because theoretically, advantage goes to the home team in overtime.
Yeah, but there's no one in the stand, so there is no advantage.
Hey, look, I understand you're still not playing in familiar confines.
Could you imagine? Well, let's hear Derrick Henry talk about his 94-yard touchdown run, which was, again, pretty incredible. I believe the stat was Derrick Henry has 3 of these, and the entire NFL has 3 of them combined. It's pretty impressive.
What's the feeling after running 94 yards? Are you out of breath? Do you need oxygen on the sideline? Or are you just amped up from excitement? And what was the reaction on the sideline after that run?
We scored. I mean, you got to think about this, 94 yards. Anybody's going to be, a little winded. But, just a great job by everybody up front. And I just had to go do my job and, was able to take it 94 to put us up in the game.
So I normally would have cut that off at the "we scored." What was the feeling? We scored.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you wanted more than that?
Sort of like
what? You think football is entertainment?
Am I here to amuse you? What am I, a clown? It was. I mean, Derrick Henry during his entire press conference. He's got a very Marshawn Lynch type vibe to him. Like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. His head is down during the majority of it. He's answering the question sort of straightforward, almost monotone. Every now and then he gives you one of those little sarcastic comments like, we scored? I mean, that's what we're supposed to feel like. We scored a touchdown. And then he gets sorts of, I mean, do you need oxygen on the sideline? It's like, everyone's out of breath after you run 94 yards. I mean, come on, man. I mean, the question was pretty silly. But the reporters, I mean, everything about this press conference with Derrick Henry, I wish Derrick Henry was a player on my team. It's what I'm going to get to when all is said and done with this.
I think everybody wants a player of Derrick Henry's caliber on their team.
Well, and to that point, he was asked about his talents.
Derrick, a day like this, I know a lot of your teammates have been talking after the game about, seeing you do some of these things, that even surprises them at times. I mean, do you get enjoyment even looking up at the board after a run like that or something like that? Do you take some enjoyment in some of these plays you're able to make?
I'm praising my teammates. Them guys are incredible. A lot of guys made plays today. It just wasn't me. I just had to go there and do my job. A lot of guys were big and critical moments. All my teammates. Just happy to be on this team. Happy to be part of this organization. We're 5-0, playing good team football no matter what, no matter how the game's going. We don't quit. We stay together and finish games. So just happy to be on this team. All my teammates are doing an incredible job, and hats off to them. Ain't nothing about me.
I mean, that's what a true superstar is right there. I mean, it's Derrick Henry, a guy who could honestly be involved in the MVP conversation, doesn't take any of the credit, immediately points to his teammates, says the offensive line blocked perfectly for him to bust him open for those big runs. The reporter asks him specifically about his teammates jumping up and down and praising him for the incredible feats that he does. And immediately he's like, I'm just out there doing my job. Everybody else out there is incredible. I'm just doing my job. That's what I want every superstar. Like, this is like Superstar 101. Like, be humble.
Yeah, and we probably won't get to him today, but we'll definitely talk about him on Thursday. There's another team that should be humble. We're not going to name names, but, Henry's just the consummate professional that
Cleveland?
we hope every player – I didn't say it, but again, Henry is the consummate professional we wish every player in the league would be. But, yeah, you can't fault him for anything he said thus far. He's absolutely right. He's just doing his job, and the guys around him are doing, playing great. Unfortunately, Tennessee did not leave this game unscathed. Taylor Lewan is going on injured reserve.
But these are the superstars we never hype up enough. Like, Derrick Henry is a little bit different. He does get a little bit of hype, but even still, it's only like a little bit. It's not like not like we talk about Derrick Henry in the same breath as the quarterbacks in this league. You know what I'm saying? And he's not loud and boisterous and cocky and singing stupid stuff. Like, he's just out there doing his job and doing it amazingly well.
Yeah, but Jay, again, you think that the league will want these guys out there for, I don't know, entertainment?
I guess, but still, I mean, I want to make a point on this particular podcast. Next Fan Up, when we hear sound like this, we will find it and we will play it and we will hype you up till tomorrow. So Derrick Henry, right now, you're on the top shelf of the Next Fan Up biggest fan award. I don't know. We'll come up with something better than that.
Edit.
No edit. I'm going to leave it right there. Again, Derrick Henry, again, more about him not giving himself any credit, just out there doing his job. He's got his head down during the entire press conference. And then this question comes.
Derrick, how much more than a game manager is Ryan Tannehill? And as a follow-up to that, I guess, is it crazy to say he belongs in the early conversation for MVP with some of the stuff he's done for you all?
MVP, let's start the campaign right now. We ain't going to get too high, but MVP, I think he should be in that conversation. Definitely.
There you go. Derrick Henry on the Ryan Tannehill campaign is Ryan Tannehill's biggest campaign manager.
As well, he should be, because for the longest time, Derrick Henry's been pretty much the spark plug of this offense with no complimentary play at quarterback. And last year, I was critical of Tannehill last year, justifiably so because of where he came from. When look at his career in Miami, and yes, we put a lot of that on Adam Gase, but he still played below whatever his potential was in Miami. There was inconsistency. There was horrendous play. There was just nothing to light a fire in you and say, yeah, Tannehill's our guy. And now 6 games into his second season in Tennessee, and it's like, this is what this guy had the capability to do all along. And yeah, it makes Adam Gase look that much worse. It makes the OC of Tennessee look like a freaking genius. And the key beneficiary here is Henry. So now you have a quarterback who can pretty much shred a defense when you put 8 in the box to stop him. And it's pick your poison. And again, like you said, let's temper things here. Let's not get too high. It's only 6 games in. And, oh, by the way, their next game is against the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. So pump your brakes on the MVP talk. Yes, it's justified, but let's not put the crown on them right now. We crown people too early, they fall off a cliff, and it's like, what happened? Because I'm going to blast 2 super fans on Thursday, and one of them was talking about MVP candidate after 1 month of play. In the last 2 weeks, his quarterback has looked like trash.
Buffalo? Okay, so Derrick Henry, as the press conference went on, by the way, I almost played all of Derrick Henry's press conference. I was so enamored by all of his answers to every single question. And as the press conference went on, they asked him about what he does on those long runs. Like, where is he looking? Like, how does he know if there's anybody near him? This was his response.
Derrick, were you looking up at the scoreboard kind of as a rear view mirror on the long run? Do you do that often? And were you just checking if anybody might have miraculously been closing in on you from behind?
I'm looking at the end zone. I never look at the scoreboard when I'm running. I can't look at the scoreboard trying to run forward. I'm looking at the end zone.
How dare you? How dare you accuse me of looking at the scoreboard while I'm running? I will come and I will find you. I'm a man of a particular set of skills.
One final thing here on Derrick Henry. You look at all the great running backs through history of the NFL, going back even to its early days. The one thing they always do, and Henry has done it in multiple commentary that we've played, they give credit to their offensive line. It's never on what I did or whatever. Like you said, I'm just doing my job. They always give credit to the offensive line. Barry Sanders, as much as I don't like him, Emmitt Smith, Marshall Faulk, these are the guys who pretty much first and foremost, no matter what type of game they're having, if they have a big day, first and foremost, everything goes to those five guys up front blocking, and sometimes the tight end or the fullback. But, Henry's just falling into a list of pretty much all world running backs with not just his physical talents, but just the way he can control the game.
This reporter didn't learn the lesson of the previous reporter's question.
Of course he did.
And at what point, Derrick, when you kind of broke into the open field, did you sense that you were gone? And you feel guys around you or behind you and know whether you're pulling away?
One thing you need to know about me, I'm looking forward. If you in my vision, I'm trying to run past you, run through you, or make you miss. And I'm going to the end zone. That's all I'm focused on. When I see you in grass, I'm thinking, let's go.
That's it. If I see something in my way, it's getting out of my way, and then there's nothing but grass, and I'm in the end zone. Period. End of story. Stop asking these foolish questions.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Love it. All right, we still got more, and I pulled that audible, so we're going to hear from the Atlanta Falcons, and we got some Colts and Dolphins and Lions. But first, we go to Atlanta, a place near and dear to your heart, I believe.
No. Near, yes. Dear, no.
Their new interim head coach is Raheem Morris, and it was a big win. This is a big win this week for Atlanta. It's not surprising. It was the one surprise I actually figured out. All the other games I had no clue, but this one I nailed this one. All right, here's Raheem Morris.
It seemed like things were working in all phases of the game. Where has this team been?
I can't worry about where it's been. I just got to worry about where it's going. And next week we got to prepare ourselves like we did this week to prepare to go 1-0 once again.
There you go. Raheem Morris is only going to be 1-0. That's it. He's either going to be 1-0 or he's going to be 0-1. That's it. Period. End of story. He's not going to be 5-1. He's going to be 5-5. He's 1-0 or 0-1. That's all Raheem Morris cares about.
Yeah, and credit to Raheem Morris. I don't know what he did differently as far as getting his team ready for this week, because offense was never really the problem with the Atlanta Falcons. We knew they could throw up 30 to 40 points a week. They've been doing it all season. The problem is they hasn't translated over to the win column, and we haven't been figuring out what's been going on into the defense. But apparently all you need to do is play Kirk Cousins. So, because they got right in a hurry early, because Kirk Cousins' first pass of the game was picked off. And it only went downhill from there, which means the running game could never really be a factor for Minnesota. And the offense just poured gas on the fire. Whatever was left of Minnesota was left there in their stadium. So, look, Raheem Morris has been a head coach in this league. He was unceremoniously let go, in his last coaching stint, and it wasn't pretty. It was unjustified as far as I'm concerned, because he had that team going in the right direction at the time. And he's probably pulling out the same rhetoric, the same mantras that he used then now to try to get Atlanta somewhat turned around, because, the one thing we have to remember is that anytime the coach gets fired, everyone's basically auditioning to either keep their job or get a job somewhere else, and that includes the coaching staff. So depending on how many wins Morris gets out of this, he could be somebody's DC in a new coaching gig next year, if not a candidate for this coaching job. And there's no reason why he shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to win out, and I think he's got a better chance.
I remember
Well, I remember when I did
they have to be competitive on the defensive side of the ball. I think they have to play better defensively than what they've been doing.
When I did my preseason predictions for the Atlanta Falcons, I sort of noted that the first half of their schedule was pretty difficult, but the last half of their schedule eases up a little bit. So they do have some very winnable games towards the end of their season. And then they have a couple of games against some big time hitters that will be difficult for them, but they're mostly in division games, and division games, as we know, can go either way. So Raheem Morris could coach himself into a job here.
He could, but remember, he's at the bottom of the division where everybody is at least 500 right now.
Well, that's definitely a problem. and owners, even Arthur Blank, this might be a time where we're gonna just rebuild no matter what. We need a fresh start with a fresh set of eyeballs, a fresh set of brains, and try and rethink everything about what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish in Atlanta. So, but it's let's put it this way. It's the right mindset. I'm going to be 1-0 or I'm going to be 0-1. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Just worry about one game, and that's it, period. And when that one game is done, we're on to the next one. I happen to know a head coach that has a very similar philosophy when it comes to that.
Do you now?
I do. All right. Here's another one of your favorite players and quarterbacks in the league, Phillip Rivers. Mr. Shot Putter himself with the Indianapolis Colts. Colts struggled early, but came back to win, and Phillip Rivers made some throws or some shot puts that got his team back into this with some touchdown catches, some pretty amazing touchdown catches, as he put it. But he was asked about, does he hear the criticisms? Here we go.
Phillip, you've been doing this a long time. Does outside criticism bother you? Has it ever bothered you? And if it does, would you ever admit it?
Bother might be a little too strong. There's times when, a little bit. I think it doesn't make you lose any confidence, but this is new for me, being in a new place, and so everyone wants people to be excited about, that you hear and things like that. That's not what's driving me, but you want that, of course. I mean, when you play like you played last week, you're not going to get it, and that's understandable. I mean, there's been a lot of really, really high-level quarterback play here for a long time. So standards set pretty dang high. I like to feel like individually and personally, I've set a standard that the expectation that should be high, although maybe not as good the last year. But and then I don't know all you guys yet. I haven't got to shake all you guys' hand and talk to you guys yet either. So I made the decision last week. I'm going to read. I want to read what they wrote. And and because I don't know, you grow over 16 years, with the guys, and you're like, shoot, that comes with it. You stink it up, they better write. Rivers better get with it. You expect it. I don't know you guys. So it was interesting for me this week. I went back and forth. And I said, dadgummit, I'm going to find them. And not to be motivation, not to anything. I just kind of want to see. What I don't know you guys personality stuff wise. So I felt like all you guys are pretty dang honest. And so I'm not going to look to read it this week because I feel like I'm the same guy I was last Sunday night. Just played a heck of a lot better than I did last Sunday, but I'm the same guy. So it's 1 week at a time. It's that Nuke Cheppy that you guys know that you guys referenced this week. And, shoot, we'll regroup this week and see if we can go get one in Detroit.
Dang gummit.
I knew you was going to pick that part out. Look,
dang gummit.
As ultra critical as I've been of Phillip Rivers, and all of it deserved, let's put that in there. It's been very deserved of his play the last couple of seasons in with the Chargers because it was horrible. And up until this past Sunday, he's not been playing well. I mean, he was the reason they lost. The wins they've had up until Sunday were in spite of his play, and he actually contributed to putting them in the hole early. They were down 21-0 in this game against the Bengals. And look, did he make some plays late? Absolutely. But I put the majority of this win on the defense. And, we talked about them being the number one pass defense. They faltered early, mainly because Rivers put them in holes and didn't convert when he probably should have. But this Colts defense gets all my praise for their play so far this season. And very little of it. I mean, if I'm going to talk about the Colts and they're winning, I'm going to start with their defense. I'm going to go to
Hold on.
coaching.
Did you say – wait. With the Colts, you're going to start with their defense?
Yeah, I'm going to start with their defense.
When's the last time we ever heard that?
Yeah, it's been a while, a long, long while. But, yeah, the defense, the coaching, and Phillip Rivers, I'm going to find reasons to not make him the third reason because he's not really that high of an importance to this team's success. And yet they still feel the need that they have to go through him. And somehow in that offensive room, they need to get things figured out to where they got to get these running backs on track with this offensive line and take something off of his plate because, look, the Bengals are a young team and a veteran-laden squad that plays the Colts is going to go up 21-0 and not let up. And it's just going to make Phillip Rivers look worse. They let them back in the game. The Bengals are going to grow from this, but the Colts, everything goes on that defense. Yeah, Rivers made plays late, but that defense gave him the opportunity to do so. So I put everything on that defense first and foremost.
Broadcasting 101, they teach you put your good stuff at the beginning of the show. You want to always put your best stuff at the beginning. I broke Broadcasting 101's golden rule because I believe I have the best stuff here at the end. We've reached the point of the show where I think that this is where the press conferences went off kilter in Miami and in Detroit. And so we'll start in Miami. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, we all saw Tua Tagovailoa got to come in the last 2 minutes of the game, run some plays, and Ryan Fitzpatrick was seen on the sidelines with the limited fans that were in the stands, trying to pump up the fans for Tua, trying to get them all excited. By the way, Flores was asked about this during his press conference, and Flores didn't know that Fitzpatrick was doing that and was, proud that he was and was excited to hear it. He's, one of the things that Brian Flores said during his press conference, and I didn't cut it up here, was they got a team of players that enjoy playing with each other, which, by the way, I could have taken completely out of context if I really wanted to.
Hey.
But
these guys not present. Don't fill in for him.
These guys enjoy playing with each other, and that's the culture that he's trying to build there in Miami. And it starts, as always, starts with your leaders, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is a leader of this particular team. And in any case, Fitzpatrick, of course, was asked quite a bit about him cheering on Tua, and here we go.
Hey, Fitzy, you mentioned you guys are starting to come together here.
No, this is the Tua question, Safed. Bring it.
No, I wasn't going to bring the Tua question, man. You got the Tua question already.
That's your boy toy, man.
All right, so help me out my boy here, man.
I know Omar like that.
What's the second half of the season do with you, man? What do you guys do with the second half of the season now? After your 500, Tua's on the board here. I mean, how do you guys kind of move forward here with everything kind of going on?
How do you think he looked in his uniform, Safed? They all white. You like that? Number one, the one was slim. You like that? Usually you can't tell if people are laughing on Zoom, but I can see Omar.
There you go. Ryan Fitzpatrick giving the report of the business, because apparently that reporter's been giving him the business about Tua all year long.
Hey, look, we've often on the outside of the season, we all said it's not a matter of if, it's when, and when has just been delayed because the Dolphins are now 3-3 and second place in the AFC East.
What did you just say? Second place? Hold on, my ears.
Second place.
I think there's a clog in my ear.
There really
I
is
heard
a
you say
clog
the
in your ear.
Dolphins are in second place. Where are the Patriots? They must be number one, right?
No. That would be the Buffalo Bills, who are number one, even despite a 2-game slide. Yeah.
What? Oh,
if you look,
I get it. It's 2020. All right, that explains everything.
Hey,
okay.
I mean, if that's your explanation for everything, then go with it. But yeah, we'll talk more about your squad on Thursday.
I'm pretty sure we will. All right, back to Miami and Tua. So Tua makes his start, and after the game, well, I'll let him explain.
Tua, congrats on making the opportunity for you to make your debut. We just saw you out there on the 15-yard line. Could you just walk us through what that moment was like, what you meant to come back out here and, take it all in?
Yeah, I think it was a very special moment for me because my parents weren't here. So I couldn't really remember where we ended our drive at. So try to sit close to where we ended our drive at. And I ended up FaceTiming my parents because they couldn't be here. That's usually how it goes. I usually talk to my parents, after the game. And my parents usually never miss my game. So that's what I did. I went out there and I talked to them. But yeah, that's what that moment was about.
Sometimes you forget, especially with the rookies. These guys are still kids, like 23, 24 years old. And so he has that huge moment in his professional career, and he takes the time after the game to go back to where the drive ended, or where he essentially thought the drive ended, and FaceTimes his mom and dad from the field. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the midst of all the hoopla and the celebrations of the games and everything like that, we tend to gloss over things that are important. Like you said, rookies are still kids. They're fresh out of college, at best 23, 24 years old, like you said. So, and in Tua's case, whose family is from Hawaii, and considering the state of the world that we live in, they're not going to be at any of his games this year. So, that it's very special for him to, like you said, it's weird to not have them present at a game because they were there, for his games at Alabama, and now that he's a professional, they're not going to be there. And these moments where he gets to FaceTime sitting on the field, especially, consider this. If the stadiums were crowded and they missed the game, he'd be sitting in the field with a stadium still half filled after any one of their 3 victories, trying to talk to his family with fans cheering him on in the background.
Yeah, it's true. Let's see. I don't think this is. I actually have 3 cuts from Tua, but I only marked down 2, so I don't know where this one's going. This is the surprise cut of the week, ladies and gentlemen.
Stafford.
Tua Fitz was giving you some slack for the first pass you threw. He says probably one of the easiest passes you could throw in the NFL. But what do you think about that? And how did you feel out there? From a health standpoint, and finally having this moment to play again.
Yeah, I feel healthy. I think it was a great play call by Chan to kind of get things going for me. It was an easy completion, and everyone can say that I can roll out and throw it to someone who's 2 yards down the field. But you got to deal with pressure, and there's just a lot going on in such a little play like that. But I think a lot of credit with that easy completion goes to Chan, and then also goes to our O-line. Our O-line played their butts off today.
So, yeah. So I had originally I had like 10 minutes of Fitzgerald into a cut up. And there was a question that was given to Fitzgerald about the first pass. And Fitzgerald goes, it was the easiest pass you can complete in the NFL, for crying out loud. So he really was given Tua the business during his press conference. And it's fun to listen to the interplay between the two guys in separate press conferences. The other thing, we talk about Tua being a kid. Fitzpatrick's a 16-year veteran, and Tua has a lot of respect for Fitzpatrick, as we're going to hear in this question.
Cam?
Hey, Tua, I guess I ask you just sort of what was the feel for you as you jogged on?
we saw Fitz on the sideline kind of pumping the crowd up. We heard the crowd chant your name. Could you hear all of that? And what was sort of your emotions when, all that was happening?
Yeah, I definitely could hear it. There's nothing else playing in the stadium. So I could hear that. And that was awesome. But to just be out there with my teammates, being my first time and getting the support and love from them, I think that was super awesome. And then, you have a 16-year vet, like Fitz, who has no animosity towards it as well, who's just been supportive the entire time. Good drive, bad drive, he comes to the sideline and, just talks through his process with why he did some things. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have a mentor like him, who is just very encouraging on the field. And then, this guy's like, he's just very personable off the field as well. I could say a lot about him, but, just won't have enough time.
We got time for one more, Beasley.
So I left that in there because he says, I could say a lot about him, but I don't have enough time. And then the PR guy comes in and says, we have time for one more question. I really wish that Beasley, who had the last question, was like, so take the time to tell us more about Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Take the time.
That would have been awesome, but that he did not ask that question. I think it's very interesting because we oftentimes will, we're very critical of the Fitz magic or the Fitz tragic. And, I think it's important to note that he is acting almost as a secondary coach to what Tua is learning from the coaches, from Chan Gailey and from Brian Flores and from many of the other coaches that are on the Dolphins staff. He's learning just as much from Fitzpatrick as he is from many of the coaches. And I think that's very interesting. And Fitzpatrick has sort of owned that. He doesn't have any grandiose ideas of, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to kill it, and I'm going to make it so that this kid never sees the field because they can't pull me off the field. I think Fitzpatrick is ready for when that time comes, whether it be next week or the end of the season. He's fully embraced the fact that he is not the true starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. And that is commendable.
Yeah. And it's a role he's pretty much accepted since he's come back to Miami, ever since last year. They traded for Josh Rosen in the offseason. And they have Fitzpatrick on the roster, and he knew then, I'm the placeholder, and he knew it. And they gave Rosen every opportunity to own the job, to have the job, to take it, and Rosen never really stepped up. They found themselves in a position where they could draft Tua. Rosen became expendable, and Fitzpatrick, again, to his credit, he knows his role, and he's going to play as best as he can. Despite my ultra criticism of his erratic play, he's going to do his job, and he's going to get Tua ready as best as possible. And right now, the best way is to show him this is how these plays are run. These are the reads you should be making. I mean, he's made enough mistakes and boneheaded throws as well as good throws throughout his 16-year career, which I think is like 6 years too long. But, he's doing what he has. Look, he's doing what he's been tasked to do to be an example for Tua as far as what to do and what not to do. And when you get a veteran like that ahead of a rookie to prep him, it can only help down the road so that when he comes in, it doesn't seem like the rookie's shell shocked. We often talk about these quarterbacks coming out of college and how they have to start day one. They don't all have to start day one. Some of them that have started since day one are still trying to figure things out 3, 4, 5 years down the road because they didn't really have anyone to learn from.
Sam Darnold. I hear that. And at the same time, I sort of want to remind the media because there's another quarterback who's been in a similar situation for a number of years, but he got hurt because a doctor punctured his lung, and they're all like, right. "Oh, it's so tragic." The day was going to come eventually, And I will give Tyrod credit because I haven't heard him actually come out and be like, I was robbed of my opportunity or whatever. The media has said it numerous times, which I don't understand. It's like, what opportunity was he robbed of? Like, this was the situation going into it, and they kind of knew it.
And I'll tell you why. Because the difference between Tyrod and Fitzpatrick is that Tyrod's play has been more consistent, and he wins more often than Fitzpatrick does. I mean, let's look at the Chargers' record right now. They have one win, and Tyrod was the quarterback. And ever since Herbert's came in, yes, he set the world on fire through his play, but they haven't won a game.
It's true.
And,
the most important stat.
Yeah, so his play hasn't translated into wins. And whether you want to put that on, the handful of mistakes he's made, which surprisingly has been few, or the fact that the defense has just not shown up in key situations, which is also true, or just the teams they've played this far just flat out better than them when they played them. They're still winless with Herbert at quarterback. So
fair enough, I suppose. Fair enough. Detroit came out on the winning end this week.
And porn stash.
And Matthew Stafford, again, the press conference broke down at this particular point in time.
And lastly, and this is probably a little bit off topic, any reason for being more dressed up today post game than you have been lately?
Just don't have anything to carry my suit back in other than my body, so figured I'd put it back on my body.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Dave? I was actually wondering the same thing, if there was a reason you were all suited up or whatever. But
man, way too much attention to like weird stuff.
When the quarterback has to admonish the reporters for asking him about wearing a suit rather than wearing a T-shirt and jeans or his uniform coming off the field. It was pretty funny.
Because we're look, post-game reporters. Again, the situation we're in, these are Zoom calls. These players are probably just pulled directly from the locker room as soon as they get back there to take these calls. Again, time constraints, whatever have you, get these things done quickly. Reporters have bylines and sound bites to put out. Yeah, it's kind of odd that, he'd already be dressed in a suit. Was he the first guy in the locker room when the clock hit 000? I don't know, but typically these guys are in whatever warm down gear they have or whatever's under their shoulder pads from just coming into the locker room. And, coaches are giving post-game speeches, game balls are being handed out.
Well, Brady was wearing
admonished that they lost.
Brady was wearing like this striped Dickies T-shirt, or it looked like he was Ernie from Sesame Street. Like it was kind of.
And Tom Brady also runs off the field and doesn't shake the hands of his opponent. So
that's only Nick Foles. Apparently, it's only Nick Foles that he does that too. Everybody else he spends a little time with. He dapped up Aaron Rodgers big time. Yeah, it's only Nick Foles. He apparently hates Nick Foles.
Got to get that checked out.
Well, listen, we all can't be wonderful people like Derrick Henry. We can try. We can all attempt to be Derrick Henry, but there's only one Derrick Henry.
Yeah, strive to be better, people.
That is your not a Week 6 NFL recap. We will be back again tomorrow with a preview. Who are you guys? You guys are playing the Giants. Are you and Crazy Jared going to do a Superfan battle?
I'll reach out to Crazy Jared and see if he wants to do Superfan battle. I mean, this is probably the most depressing Superfan battle you've ever heard, considering what I found out about the injuries sustained through Sunday's game and what was confirmed last night. But I'll see.
You got 24 hours. Get that done.
I know. I know. So we'll figure something out, possibly. If not, you'll hear more of my whining and admonishment of my so-called football team. Those 53 guys who put on the jersey on Sunday and pretend to play football. But yeah.
So we'll have a Thursday night preview for you tomorrow. We'll be back again on Thursday. We've already teased that there's a number of people that are going to be eating some crow, including myself. as we give you the Week 7 previews for the rest of the week. Knock on wood, not a lot of COVID going on. I know, was it the Colts? Carolina? It's happening. It's happening all over the place. But hopefully they can manage it. There's not going to be a big outbreak, and we'll see. I mean, today is the day we usually find out about these sort of things, and then Friday we may or may not have more superfan battles. I know there's some big games this week, including.
I'm looking at you, Titans and Steelers.
Yeah, and both those superfans are fairly active, so hopefully we can get a superfan battle out of those guys, and we'll have lots more fun. I know Doc is coming back Thursday. We should have Doc for the whole show. So that'll be we'll have Doc
now the big
back.
Question is, will we have both Kevin and Neil on Thursday?
No, I guarantee we will not.
I need those two to get together for Sunday's game.
I'm a pessimist on that, but we shall see. We have all sorts of fun still to come for you here on Next Fan Up. Thanks for listening. Make sure you tell a friend. You got any thoughts, questions, comments? Send them to us via email, nextfanup@gmail.com, at NFU Podcast on Twitter, facebook.com/NFU Podcast. Another great way to get in touch with us. We will talk to you again later on. There you have it.
Dear friends and colleagues, saying goodbye is never easy. I believe we can all feel proud of what we have done together. And through it all, you have maintained your professionalism and commitment and remain true to the spirit of the Charter. That principle.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.